Have you ever watched someone maybe at work or, in a social setting just navigate a really tricky situation or maybe negotiate something complex and they just seem to influence everyone almost effortlessly?
Like they're operating on a different level.
Exactly. Like they have some kind of secret playbook for human interaction. How do they do that? How do some people just seem to achieve their goals so easily?
Well, that's the fascinating question we're getting into in this deep dive.
Mm.
We're looking at the strategic side of human behavior, exploring principles that are, well, they're timeless, but sometimes pretty controversial too.
And our source today.
Our source is specific excerpts from Robert Greene's book, The 48 Laws of Power. It's pretty widely read. Our mission here is to kind of cut through the density, distill the core ideas from these laws, give you a shortcut to understanding the mechanics of power and influence.
Without feeling like you need a PhD in political science to get it. Right. It's about those aha moments, seeing things maybe you already noticed, but with a new perspective. Understanding social professional dynamics better. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating here, I think, is that whether you agree with these laws or not, personally, that's almost beside the point. Understanding why someone might propose them, the psychology behind them, that's just as important as the what.
Good point.
We're really examining them as a framework, a lens to see how power works, how it's used, not necessarily saying go out and do this.
Exactly. It's about observation, not prescription. So let's start with this first theme we're calling the art of obscurity and controlled revelation. Basically, mastering perception by managing what you show and what you don't. The core idea, sometimes less really is more.
It's about creating a psychological advantage, not just hiding things.
Right. And the first principle under this umbrella is Law 1, conceal your intentions. Okay, so keeping people in the dark stops them from preparing defenses. Simple enough.
On the surface, yes. But it taps into something deeper, doesn't it? Our tendency to fill information gaps. If you don't know someone's real goal, you start guessing. Maybe imagining the worst. You put yourself on the defensive.
So you're wasting energy trying to figure them out.
Precisely. Greene talks about misdirection, using smokescreens. Maybe employing a bit of false sincerity or practicing selective transparency.
Selective transparency. So sharing just enough.
Yeah, just enough to seem open, build a little trust, while the crucial stuff stays hidden. It's strategic omission. It forces others to react to what they think you're doing, not what you actually are.
That's powerful psychological leverage. Okay, building on that, managing perception by holding back, we get Law 5, cultivate an air of mystery. This feels like it goes beyond just hiding plans. It's about your whole persona, right? Why are we so drawn to mystery?
Well, it's basic human curiosity, isn't it? The unknown pulls us in. When you deliberately create this aura of depth, maybe through silence or hinting at things without fully explaining, you become a puzzle.
One people want to solve.
Exactly. It's like the scarcity principle, but for information. The less you give away, the more valuable your thoughts seem. But, and this is key, the source mentions balance. Too much mystery, you just seem elusive or untrustworthy.
Right. Intriguing, not just weird.
It's about being fascinating, not just frustratingly vague.
Okay, and that ties neatly into the next one, Law 6. Always say less than necessary. This feels like a practical rule for creating that mystery. It's not just about avoiding mistakes, is it?
No, not at all. It's another control mechanism. Silence is surprisingly potent. When you speak less, your actual words land with more weight. Plus, it creates this vacuum.
A vacuum others feel they have to fill.
Often, yes. They might start revealing more about themselves, their own plans, their weaknesses, just to break the silence. It gives you the upper hand. You listen, observe, let them project onto you.
And you avoid saying something dumb.
That too. In high-stakes moments, controlling the narrative often falls to the person who uses silent and concise speech strategically, not the one who overshares.
Okay, so we've talked about managing what you reveal. Let's shift gears slightly to strategic behavior and influence. How your actions, your perceived character can be well-shaped.
Deliberately shaped to gain an advantage. Orchestrating your public self.
Right. And first up here is Law 2, create an air of unpredictability. This one's interesting. Calculated chaos, keeping people off balance. Doesn't predictability build trust, though?
In many situations, absolutely. But in competitive ones, predictability makes you vulnerable. If people know your patterns, they can anticipate you, plan against you, maybe even exploit you.
Ah, okay.
So what's fascinating here is how deliberate unpredictability disrupts that. maybe acting against your own apparent interests sometimes.
Like being kind one minute, stern the next.
Or changing routines, just enough to confuse. It creates that aura of mystery we talked about. It forces others onto the back foot, constantly trying to adapt.
Gives you a big advantage, especially in negotiations, I imagine.
Definitely. They're too busy reacting to your shifts to properly strategize against your real goals. It disorients them.
Okay, makes sense. Then there's the really counterintuitive one. Law 4. Use selective honesty. Using truth. Strategically. For manipulation. How does admitting a weakness make you stronger?
It's about creating a false sense of closeness, of transparency. Think about it. A well-timed, seemingly sincere admission of some minor flaw. It can really disarm people. It makes you seem human, open.
So they let their guard down.
Exactly. They assume you're being completely honest, which makes them more receptive to whatever else you're selling or hiding. It's strategic vulnerability.
Like a leader admitting a small mistake to make their big decisions seem less questionable.
Precisely. Using a small truth as a kind of smokescreen. Or just timing it perfectly to have maximum disarming effect.
Wow. Perception management indeed. And related to that, Law 7. Make your accomplishments seem effortless. Why hide the hard work, the practice, the struggle?
Because the illusion of effortlessness is incredibly intimidating. If your skills seem natural, almost magical, like you were just born good at this stuff, it discourages competition.
Makes your ability seem out of reach for others.
Right. Greene says all the toil, the practice, it must be concealed. You need to look like you act with ease, always holding something back. It creates this aura of, natural superiority.
Inspiring for your allies, maybe, but crushing for rivals.
That's the idea. It makes your skills seem peerless.
Okay, we've covered managing revelations, managing actions. Now let's look at orchestrating outcomes. This is about subtly guiding others to where you want them to go.
Sometimes without them even noticing the strings. Like being a puppet master almost.
A bit like that. Let's start with Law 3. Control the options. Engineering choices so they benefit you, but the other person feels like they chose freely. Why is this subtle approach better than just forcing the issue?
Because force breeds resentment. People push back when they feel pushed. Controlling the options is more insidious, maybe. You present limited choices, frame the decision in a biased way, or create a false dilemma where your preferred path looks like the only sensible one.
So they feel like they made the choice themselves.
Exactly. And that feeling of agency is crucial. In a negotiation, offering two choices that both work for you, you win either way, but they feel they had control. It avoids that feeling of being trapped.
Clever, making them choose your path. Okay, then Law 11. Play to people's fantasies. We're often told honesty is the best policy. So what does it mean that people often prefer comforting illusions? How does that help influence?
It's a deep insight, really. People are driven by hopes, dreams. Sometimes the plain hard truth is just, ugly, unpleasant.
Yeah.
So by appealing to those fantasies, understanding their hidden desires, crafting compelling stories, offering a bit of escapism you connect on an emotional level, influence becomes easier.
But isn't that just manipulation?
Well, the source actually adds a nuance here. It says, the goal should be to inspire and motivate, not to deceive or exploit. So it's acknowledging the power of tapping into aspirations, using hope to drive action, create a vision, rather than just lying. It's understanding that logic isn't always what moves people.
Okay, understanding motivations. That leads right into Law 12. Discover each man's thumbscrew. Sounds pretty intense. What exactly is a thumbscrew in this context?
It's basically a vulnerability, an insecurity, maybe an uncontrollable emotion like anger or greed, a desperate need, or even a secret little pleasure. It's a lever.
A lever for influence. How do you find it? Not by asking, presumably.
No, definitely not. It's through sharp observation, active listening, what makes someone defensive, overly enthusiastic, what are their blind spots, sometimes carefully testing boundaries.
That knowledge seems dangerous.
It is powerful, and this source stresses this. It's crucial to use it responsibly. The stated goal isn't harm or unfair advantage, but to understand people better, navigate relationships more effectively.
So, knowing the vulnerability helps you anticipate reactions, tailor your approach, makes you a more effective negotiator, maybe?
Leader, yes, by understanding what truly drives someone, their fears or desires. But the ethical line is clearly drawn in the source material, even if the language is stark.
Right.
Okay, fascinating stuff. Let's move to our final section. Maintaining dominance and position. Strategies for keeping your power once you have it. Securing your standing.
Yes, the long game. How to sustain influence.
Absolutely. And kicking this off is a pretty blunt one. Law 8. Crush your enemy. Totally. No half measures. The logic is stark. One ember left alight. A fire will eventually break out.
Sounds ruthless.
It does sound ruthless. And again, the source itself provides a counterpoint, or at least context. It says something like, while this might seem harsh, it's often seen as necessary in competitive fields. But it's crucial to balance this with maintaining a positive public image and avoiding needless fights.
So it acknowledges the risk.
Yes, it highlights that incomplete victories can lead to future threats. But it also implicitly raises the question of the long-term cost. A scorched earth approach might work now, but it could damage your reputation, create lasting enemies.
Make you a target later on, a cycle of hostility.
Potentially. It's about weighing that decisiveness against future consequences.
Okay, next, a different vibe entirely. Law 9. Use absence to increase respect and honor. This taps into that scarcity idea again, right? Being less available makes you more valued.
Precisely. For people with influence, being constantly present, constantly visible, can actually diminish their mystique. Familiarity breeding contempt, perhaps?
So strategic withdrawal.
Yeah. A temporary absence can create longing, or at least heightened anticipation. When you return, your presence feels more significant. It reinforces your importance, increases your perceived value.
It's manipulating the perception of your availability and demand.
Making your presence more impactful when it occurs. Clever, in a way.
Very. And finally, Law 10. Learn to keep people dependent on you. This feels like a core principle for holding on to power. Cultivating necessity. But how do you do that without being, well, exploitative?
The idea is to become indispensable, maybe by developing unique skills nobody else has, controlling access to key information, creating that asymmetry, or even fostering a degree of emotional reliance.
The more they need you, the more freedom you have.
That's the dynamic. But once more, the source adds a crucial balance. It emphasizes maintaining positive relationships alongside this. The goal is to be valued and needed, not to exploit or manipulate others to their detriment.
So the ideal is people wanting to rely on you because you offer real value.
Right. Rather than feeling forced into dependency, it's about building sustainable influence through genuine indispensability, not just coercion.
Okay. So we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. Some really fascinating, often provocative principles from the 48 Laws of Power, from the subtle stuff like concealing intentions and cultivating mystery, to shaping perceptions, controlling options, right through to maintaining position through dependence or even crushing enemies.
And the common thread really is a deep, maybe even cynical understanding of human psychology and how it can be leveraged. But ultimately, as we said at the start, these laws are best viewed as a lens, a way to understand the dynamics playing out around you, not necessarily a step-by-step guide for your own life. The real power comes from critical observation. Recognizing the motivations, seeing the strategic game.
Whether you choose to play it or just understand it when others do.
Exactly.
So maybe something to think about as you go through your day. Given these laws, how much of your own interactions, maybe unconsciously, are already shaped by these kinds of principles? And what does that mean for how you choose to engage with the world from now on?